All right, everybody, this is your run-of-the-mill small block. This is a 0014 350 block. I come across this thing, a buddy of mine at work had it. He had an 84 Monte Carlo. I thought it was a 305, he did too. We got it here and found out that it wasn't what we thought it was. So this is a early 70s 350, 882 heads. Supposedly a good running motor. What we're gonna do today is just do a compression check, check the vitals, make sure before we put this thing in that it's what, we don't just waste our time. So I'm just going to kind of do a walk around, and we'll put this camera down, and we'll go to putting an oil pressure gauge in it and pulling the plugs. I'm gonna put this oil pressure gauge in back here. I'll show you all this here in a second. Let me get it in here. All right, you got a little port right here. This is for your small block Chevrolet aftermarket gauges. A lot of your factory gauges go here too, and there's a hole on the side of this block for another oil pressure gauge. It just depends on which one you want to use. I usually use that one because it's a lot cleaner looking if I'm going to put a small block in something. I'm going to tighten this oil pressure sending unit up. We'll put the gauge on it. Yeah, this is my YouTube debut, so if I'm doing something stupid or wrong, I'm sure somebody will let me know. And I appreciate all criticism, because if it doesn't make you better, it'll make you worse. Or it'll probably make me worse. So anyway, I'm gonna get this tight. This is probably not gonna be the one that I use in the car. This is just to keep from having to clean up a mess in the shop floor. So, the car's already got a set of gauges in it, so we'll probably just use all the stuff the car's got in it. Or I don't know why I say will, because it's just gonna be me. I'll be the only guy here. There's that. It's gonna be kind of raw. It ain't gonna be no professional job by any means. And really, if this YouTube does do anything, and if you guys want to watch, you're gonna figure that out. I'm more of a if it fits it, it gets it kind of guy. Or just, you know, see what works. There's your oil pressure gauge. Hopefully it'll probably leak. Maybe not. We'll see here in a little bit. Okay. Pull these plugs out. They're all pretty loose. It's not something that you want to see. This thing does have Excel plugs in it, so somebody was hot driving it. But what else I've noticed is this block has been machined. There's no numbers here, so we might have a fresh block here. I don't have a bore scope to look inside this thing and see what's going on, but we may have a fresh, or well, not fresh, but rebuilt small block. I know the guy was driving the car before he decided to LS swap his Monte Carlo, and I told him, I said, if you want to get rid of this thing, hit me up, and he did. So I bought the car, and the place that I got the motor, the guy that did the swap for him had a bunch of stuff. So this may not even be what come out of that car. It may be something the guy had in the shop. So who knows? I hope not. I hope it's, you know, I mean, if it's not what he had, I hope it's something better, you know. Obviously, we found out so far that it is, but who knows. We'll find out here in a little bit. If these holes check out good, and you typically want 100 pound of compression or more. I like a lot more, but 100 will be fine for what I'm trying to do. One, everybody knows or should know if you're watching any of these channels how these small block Chevrolets are. You know, the odds on the left bank and the evens are on the right bank. May have to get a fitting for this. Now, and as you can tell, this thing doesn't have a carburetor, so we don't have to hold the throttle wide open. And I really, you know, you hear a lot of speculation about, do you really have to do that? I mean, I don't know. I've never done it without holding it open. I mean, I want as much air into that engine as I could get. But, you know, you hear people say that it doesn't matter either way. And I'm going to say it probably does, because I wouldn't think it would be a, you know, something that would carry on if it didn't matter. All I've got is a jump box. I don't have a battery, so it's going to spin over slow. Well, it'll spin over fast enough to do what we got to do, but it'll spin over pretty slow compared to a battery, or at least I think it will. We're going to check number one. Here's number one. As long as this Harbor Freight compression gauge will work. Pretty happy with that. Number one's at 50 PSI, 150 PSI. So far we're doing well. I do have a trigger, but when I decided to do a YouTube video, it decided it didn't want to be in the video, so we'll have to get another one of those. This is number 3. Spin it over a little more. It's showing a little over 150 PSI. Just to what I want to see so far. I do plan on putting valve covers on this video and just checking everything. And let's see if we don't have any leaks, luckily. Let's see what this one does. Got 25 pounds of oil pressure with that, and you little under 150 psi. Keep in mind we do have a cheap gauge. That's number 5, about 140 pounds. This gauge isn't real tight, so maybe losing some around the gauge, but should be good enough to. It's 150. This whole side's good, but then, you know, with number 5 is a little lower than the other 3, but that could just be tight valves or something. But either way, those are good. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Here's number 2. It's going to be your odd bank here, or your even bank. Like I said, any criticism will help. This is my debut video. We're going to see what it does from here. PSI. That was good too. This is number 4. I don't like that noise. This is 152. I do plan to pull the oil pan off this engine before we put it in. We're gonna put a new gasket in it and just check, might check a bearing or two. I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm gonna go that deep. I do plan on running this engine on this engine stand, so we're gonna know a little bit there. It's just not gonna be right now. I've still got to get which I thought I had one, a base plate gasket, and I do not have one, so I've got to go round up that. Once I get one, I was actually gonna do it today, but the plans changed, so. Get in there. This is number 6. That was about 142. Those two that are stretched across, it's about the same compressor. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to look into that. I don't want to pull the intake, but I'm saying I ain't gonna. It's gonna be something to do with the cam right there. All right, here's your number 8. That was showing about 145 PSI. So all in all, this motor's pretty healthy. I mean, you know, factory it's probably got stock rings, probably a stock flat top piston. It's not going to make a whole lot of compression. Probably it's probably a 9-to-1 motor. That's what I'm hoping for because I want to daily drive this thing. All right, now I'm gonna slide y'all in a little bit, and we're gonna look at this oil pressure gauge, and we're gonna see if it's good enough for YouTube or not. All right, let's see here. All right, there's the oil pressure gauge. Let's see, let me get over behind it so I can see. Okay. Now you ready? Here we go. It's not very good. Well, I guess that's okay. It's making about still going up. Yeah, it works for me. All right, now I'm gonna pull these valve covers off, and we're just gonna look and see if there's any rockers loose or anything that I don't like. And beyond that, we're gonna put the valve covers back on it, and probably stop this video here. And when I get a base plate gasket, we'll pick up there, or probably do another video. Like I said, I still haven't edited anything. I have no clue, so we'll find that out here in a little while too. We'll start with this side, and we'll see where the distributor points. We'll know kind of if somebody did the time. I'm sure they did. This engine has been machined. It's probably built in a machine shop, and hopefully that's the case. Because the guy I got this from, I don't know that I'd want him building me an engine. I do have valve cover gaskets. We're going to put some new gaskets on here, but we're going to do a lot of other stuff first. I'm going to probably paint this thing, and I've got another set of coatings we can set on here while I paint it, but we don't get no paint on these, which I don't know. I mean, I may not even run these. These are just cheap AutoZone, I think, or they got flames on them, so they got to be good. pressure gauge is not leaking, so thought I need to leave that alone. Okay, we're rolling up here. We're good to go. As far as oil, I'm gonna see if he's okay. I'm all feel pretty good. I figure once they pump up good, they should do fine. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic by any means, but I'm not good at anything, but I can do a lot, if that makes any sense. Not scared to do any of this stuff, and I'm not gonna, kind of a DIYer anyway. I like figuring out how this things work and, you know, trying to fix them. You know, one of my driving forces for this would be, I've got a 10-year-old son, and he's just like me. He's real passionate about doing stuff like this, and I'm gonna try to do whatever I can to keep him into this instead of something else, you know. Yeah, this is definitely not a factory-built engine. It's got a lot of markings in it that I don't see factory. So I'll get you in there and let you guys look, and we'll go from there. It looks pretty good in there. There's no sludge. Everything looks pretty good. Or at least I think it does. I mean, I'm sure somebody will see something they don't like, and that's fine. You know, I'm gonna run it either way. Now I'm gonna spin this thing over, and I'm gonna get my number one up. What you wanna check for is your intake valve needs to open it if you got your valve covers off. If you don't, stick your finger over the hole. When you feel air, you know you're on compression stroke. Small block Chevrolet's time on number one. You want your intake valve to open and close. If you don't know it, the 4-stroke engine have 4 strokes. Intake, compression, power, and exhaust. They go in that order. It's got to be compression stroke. So your first is going to be your intake stroke. Just take your ratchet. I think this is 5/8. You just spin it over. You want to see your intake valve, which is right here open. I'm not taking it. I know where it's at. Now your intake is opening. Keep your ratchet over there. Here's your intake, it's opening up. As soon as it closes, you wanna, if you got the luxuries of having a timing mark, you wanna go by that. If you don't, this one probably don't have. It has a little light, it does. No, it don't. It does not have a timing mark on the balancer. Well, when you have that issue, just get you a screwdriver or something strong, something, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're not fixing to, I'm not gonna, it's got a mark, I see it, man. It's got a timing mark. Yeah, it's got it. I'll bring this thing around to 0, unless you want to build something hot rodish, you know, and I'm not. Now, this is set at 0 on top dead center, which which if this was timed right, the distributor should be, the rotor button should be facing number 1. If it's not, you can still put the distributor in there, you just gotta time it where number 1 is. Set the cap off. And I do not plan on pulling this distributor when I put this motor in, if it's in time. And it is not in time. Let me spin this thing over again to make sure, because I may be off, I may be off. It's weird that it's, I don't remember. Do it like this and there we were. Yeah, this thing's timed at the wheel there, so we may have to pull the distributor back out to get it where it needs to be. Wish the wires were still on, we can kind of see where they were, you know. Alright, that distributor is right. We'll see how the wires lay out. I bet the wires will lay out. Yeah, see, here's your number 1 right here. They just timed this thing with the number 1. They just dropped the distributor in, and where it fails, where it failed. I am going to fix that before I put this thing in. But anyway, that'll be the next video we do. It's going to be it for this one. I got to go regroup, get me a carburetor gasket and all that good stuff. I'm going to set these valve covers back on, and I'm going to call it a day. Thank y'all for watching.